So in a no-deal Brexit scenario, there are going to be quite a few changes for businesses, but I think the key one is that the EU free movement concept will end. So by that I mean the concept for currently any EU national or their non-EU national family member to come to the UK to live, work, remain, study, whatever it is they wish for as long a period as possible. Now, in a no-deal Brexit situation, free movement as a concept will end, and therefore so too will that ability for EU nationals and their non-EU national family members to come to the UK. So I think it's really important for businesses to know what is going to happen on two folds. First of all, what will happen to their retention of current workers, and secondly, what will happen to their recruitment of new workers. So in terms of the retention of current workers, the key point is that everything stays the same. Now that is good news in Brexit world, because in a lot of other areas, things aren't staying the same. So for current workers, they will continue to be entitled to live, work, remain in the UK, have children in school, drive a car, have a mortgage, all of those things, simply by applying through what's called the EU settlement scheme. The EU settlement scheme is a new immigration concept, and essentially it will allow those EU nationals and their non-EU national family members to document their continued right to remain to be in the United Kingdom. And that message, that understanding, that knowledge for businesses is going to be very important, just to show that they are on top of things and that they understand this is a difficult period for their current workers, so it will really help them to guide them through that difficult process. Now, herein lies the rub. For those EU nationals that are looking to come to the UK for the first time after Brexit, they will only be entitled to do so for a limited period of time. That will be for a maximum of 3 years, and that will be under the new immigration concept of EU temporary leave to remain. So, admittedly, there will first of all be a 3-month visa-free period which all EU nationals will be able to avail themselves of, but thereafter they would need to specifically apply for that EU temporary leave to remain visa. Under that visa they will be able to do any type of work. They will also be able to come to and from the UK as frequently or infrequently as they would like. So again, no cliff edge if you like, but certainly something that will actively need to be done as compared with now, where they will simply come into the UK through Heathrow and nothing more is needed. In terms of the situation and the rules for UK nationals currently in the European Union, it is a bit varied, and I think it's difficult to say for certain because a lot of countries haven't actually come clear or set out in law what they are proposing to do. What there is a very helpful table from the European Commission which sets out what the current proposals are. And I think I would say at its best it is reciprocal, so whatever the UK will impose upon a particular EU country's nationals in the UK, so too will that be imposed on the UK national in that EU country. In some countries it is more favourable than the intended position for EU nationals in the UK, and in other countries it is not. The key point here is it's a watching brief to keep an eye on the news, to keep an eye on current awareness, and like I say, it's websites like the European Commission. So it's important also for businesses to know that there will be some potential changes to the mutual recognition of qualifications as between a particular member state and the UK. Best thing to do there is to keep an eye on the gov.uk website, which will have more information as it comes out. There is also going to be an opportunity for a short-term visa of 12 months. There's been quite a bit of press about this, but what perhaps hasn't been so publicised is that this will only be available to those individuals from low-risk countries. Now, low-risk country isn't defined, there isn't any list of those countries currently, and conveniently it just so happens to be the types of countries that the UK has trade deals with. So we're talking countries like China, New Zealand, Australia, those kind of countries. So individuals, nationals from those countries, which may well include EU nationals, could potentially come to the UK for a period of 12 months to undertake any role, skilled or not. I've already spoken about the position of recruitment and how that will affect EU nationals, but that only really covers us until the end of 2020. Importantly, from the 1st of January 2021, we understand there will be a completely new set of immigration rules, which will apply to EU nationals and non-EU nationals alike. Broadly speaking, and to summarise it, it will mean that an EU national will need a job offer and a specific visa before they can come to the UK. That is a marked change from the situation we're in now, and it will mean that ultimately low-skilled work will not be as easily resourced from the UK. So for those employers that have EU nationals currently performing what are called low-skilled roles, they will need to think quite strong and hard about where they're going to be resourcing that after 2021. There are a number of very helpful websites that you can look at to get information about Brexit. Of course, the tabloids and the broadsheets will be continuing to publish information, but perhaps better than that would be to look at websites like the gov.uk website. There's also the freemovement.org website, which is a website that has a lot of really helpful information. And of course, there's the Chamber's own website, which has a huge raft of information that is of great help. The first thing that businesses need to do to prepare is to watch these videos. So knowledge is key. Please do read up about it, understand what the concerns are going to be for your employees, and most importantly, what you can do to guide them through. So as I say, knowledge is key, knowledge is power. Please do read as much as you can and avail yourselves of the resources that there are.
My name's Carl Hollier. I'm the Managing Director of Industrial Washing Machines Limited, which is a specialist design and manufacturing company to make washing equipment for the food and associated industries. Well, when Brexit was actually voted for 2.5 years or 3 years ago, I seem to remember, obviously I had concerns myself as a managing director of the company. I didn't quite know all the details, so I did initially a lot of research myself into the pros and cons. My worst fears, to be honest, was the EU labour that we have in our facility. So I did focus a lot of time in the initial stages on recruitment and making sure that we looked after our EU workforce. With the staff, with the EU guys, about 20% of our workforce now come from European countries. The first thing I did was to actually sit them all in a room, had a meeting with them, once I actually knew some facts myself. Firstly, reassure them about the company's prospects, and we do deal a lot overseas, but specifically into the United States, so we're not really affected from a sales point of view by Brexit, or very marginally anyway. So I gave them security and stability in that sense, but I also offered my support and pledged to assist them with any processes that were necessary via the government for them to remain in the UK, i.e. the registration process. Some of them were quite aware of what to do. It was also a good forum for me to actually understand their own feelings and what has or was being discussed in their respective communities, online, etc. So I got a good insight as to people's fears, concerns, and some of them were obviously true, some of them were not true, so it was a very useful two-way conversation.